Okay, so this is my final presentation for Icon 495 for the spring 2018 semester. Okay, so essentially what I have been working on all semester is I have been working on a redesign for the Muncie Children's Museum's website to make it more visually appealing, interactive, as well as educational. Again, just a little bit of background about me. So I'm actually studying journalism, but I've always had a large interest in PR and marketing. But another kind of side note about me is I really love museums. I always have, and I never really understood how my career interests as well as my love for museums could kind of intersect. But last summer, I got the awesome opportunity to intern in the PR marketing department at the Idlewild Museum in downtown Indianapolis. It was so fun, honestly, just such a great summer. And I loved it so much that I really wanted to continue doing this PR marketing work for a museum. And I knew that we had a children's museum back in Muncie. I'd actually visited my freshman year, and it was just a really great place. And so before I went back to school last fall, I reached out just asking if they ever did any PR marketing internships. It was actually like the right place, right time scenario because their part-time marketing person had just quit, so they offered me a job there. So I've been there since last fall. I love it. The staff's great. I'm going to be working there remotely from this summer. But yeah, anyways, long story short, the small institution is sometimes is hard to keep up with, everything essentially. But one thing I noticed right off the bat was that the current website is a little bit in shambles. It has all the necessary information, but it's just outdated. Doesn't really give users a sense of what the museum is. And of course, I'll show it once it loads. But as you can see right away, it's not that the information isn't there. It's just there's a lot going on. There's so many pages. Not very updated. Just it doesn't really look very professional. And to me, it's very obviously a website for any sort of business it's just very crucial. And I think especially a children's museum, the website needs to be fun. It needs to be playful, colorful, and that's not really the vibe that this website's giving right now. So once I heard that what our project was going to be for 495 this semester, I knew right away that I wanted to do this redesign. So scope, with this, I may face issues of balancing time. I've done it a little bit this semester, I guess, but especially moving forward, not doing this just for a class anymore, doing this, for my job. I am the only individual right now who helps with the museum's PR marketing aspects. Therefore, I know that, again, moving forward, really putting this website into play and not just doing it for, in my free time for class. I need to make sure I make time each week for everything else, essentially. But yeah. So audience, this website will be designed for potential visitors of the museum to essentially learn more about what the museum has to offer. I know that most of these visitors, as everyone else can probably guess, will probably be parents looking for a fun place to take their children. Therefore, I know that this website needs to display what's available at the museum, what events the museum will be hosting in the near future, as well as that basic information such as business hours and admission price. So I'm hoping after this website redesign that visitors to the site will better understand the Muncie Children's Museum, everything from the exhibits housed at the institution to what events families can attend, and again, just that basic info about the museum, like the history, the staff, business hours, price. I hope this website will be more visually appealing, more interactive, and will create a fun space that, really reflects that same environment that's present at the museum. So to kind of begin this project, the first thing I did was research. So I found about 10 different websites that mostly for museums, but it was kind of a diverse range of museums. There were children's museums, history museums, art museums, but also a few city attractions. Like I know I looked at the Indy Zoo. I think I looked at NCAA. Um, just really getting a feel for what these other places are doing. And as I was looking through all of them, they kind of had these common themes. Obviously, they display different information, different media, different events, but they all were very visually driven. A lot of photos, a lot of graphics, a lot of videos. One that particularly comes to mind for me is the Newfields website. I think a lot of people are familiar with this, but the Indianapolis Museum of Art and its kind of surrounding properties rebranded themselves last fall when under a total rebranding, called themselves Newfields. And along with that, of course, was a website redesign. And their website is amazing. If you have not looked at it, it's so visually driven, very user friendly. It's just amazing. And so looking at that, I was like, wow, that would be really cool to kind of implement that somehow into this new website redesign. So again, very visually driven, but another aspect too is that most of the sites had their very basic but really crucial information, such as hours, price, directions, and a spot that's really easy for users to see, which I personally think is a great move because a lot of people coming to websites, especially for, like a museum, they're looking for the price, they're looking for the hours, those things that you really need to know before you go. And so in regards to the museum websites, they had a special tab for exhibitions, which showed these visually appealing photos of what they housed. I know when I was looking at the Indy Children's Museum's website, I really looked at their website a lot, just knowing that they are so successful. They're honestly the best. They've been continuously ranked the best children's museum in the country. So, definitely seeing what they were doing and trying to implement, but their exhibition page was really great. A lot of really great photos, not just stagnant photos of the exhibits, but photos of children interacting with the exhibits, and just really having great information on there. So yeah, but then none of the websites, honestly, though, were that complex. They were, for the most part, fairly simple, but that didn't mean they were unprofessional. And I think that was really important for me going forward, just thinking of how complex our website is right now. There's just so much going on that I really just wanted to kind of break it down, make it more simple. So then my next step, of course, was the first paper prototype. So going forward, I knew that there were kind of 3 pages I really wanted to focus on with this project. So the first is the homepage, because that's what visitors see right off the bat as soon as they visit the website. So it's really important to have a good first impression. Again, exhibits, I kind of touched on that on the last slide, but just making sure that visitors know what they can see, or I guess potential visitors know what they can see if they choose to visit the museum, and calendar, because I think a lot of people don't realize that the Muncie Children's Museum has so many great events throughout the month. I've really been trying to push that through my internship by marketing to those more, but really making sure that we have a dedicated calendar page that lists all of the events coming up every day. So I'll show you guys my paper prototype. So these were very low fidelity. I kind of just wanted to get a feel for what layouts work the best. Again, I really wanted to focus on the simplicity and the visual drive of this website. So so essentially what I did is I made 3 layout designs for the 3 pages and asked users which they liked best. So here's like my homepage designs. Again, low fidelity, but I just kind of wanted users to get a sense of what to expect. I actually modeled this one after, cannot talk today, sorry, after the Newfields website. And again, exhibits, and then also calendar. Again, low fidelity, but just trying to get the layout, get a feel for what users liked. So who was tested? I tested 5 users. 4 were Ball State students who had either A, visited the museum, or B, had an interest in visiting the museum, so they at least had some familiarity with the institution. But then also too, I actually got to test one parent back from my hometown, which was very helpful because she was completely unfamiliar with the Muncie Children's Museum. And so being able to, talk with her and see by looking at the old website, would you actually want to take your kid there? And she honestly wasn't sure. So that kind of reiterated the point that I really needed to do this website redesign. So how did I test? Pretty simple. I just sat down with each user. First, I showed them the current website, asked the user to explore the site and tell me what he or she liked and disliked. Then I brought out my paper prototypes and kind of explained what I was doing for this project, what I wanted this new website to be, and asked each user to go through all the layouts and say, again, just what he or she liked, what he or she disliked. And then lastly, I asked the user to put together his or her ideal website. So being able to kind of like a puzzle almost, choosing his or her favorite homepage, calendar page, and exhibit page, and putting it all together into this new cohesive website. So major results, no one liked the old website, which I was kind of expecting. Everyone found it pretty unappealing, pretty unprofessional. I think too, one thing that was really interesting was seeing how each user kind of interacted with the website. Just because there are so many tabs, pages, buttons, links, everything. It was really interesting to see that each user went to a different page the first time I presented the website to them. So that was really, again, kind of that simplicity factor that I need to break this down because that shouldn't be happening. And again, kind of going off that, everyone liked that the new site would be easier to navigate and also more visual. I guess some, though, were a little worried that the new site didn't include enough information, which I was a little worried about because, again, there's just so much info on the old website, and trying to be able to break it down into new pages, new categories, was a little tricky, but hopefully I feel like as I went along with my user testing, I tried to do that better. And another thing too I didn't even think about when doing my paper prototype layouts was some got confused on how to navigate to the other pages. Like, for example, getting back to the home page. Honestly, that's just something I didn't even think about. So I'm really glad, that's the beauty of user testing, I guess, is being able to have someone else look at your work and say, oh, well, what about this? So yeah, something as simple as that I was able to implement into the digital prototype. So kind of next steps, I went ahead and built the website, kind of based off the layouts of what the users told me. I used Wix, so that was a really great platform to be able to, really make it customizable. And they're great about having lots of different plugins and, I guess everything under the sun that I needed. So once I created the new website, I did some more user testing. I sent out a survey, and it kind of just asked people to, answer some multiple choice questions, some ranking questions, some short answer, essentially just, looking over the new website for me. And I luckily was able to get 20 participants to analyze the new digital prototype. And for the most part, it was pretty successful. There were just a few little things that people wanted me to change. For example, a couple people mentioned that they wanted a footer at the bottom of the site, which, again, is something pretty simple that most websites have that I wasn't even thinking about. So I added a footer with, our logo, our contact info, our address, as well as our social links. And again, I guess I had some information about events coming up, but I didn't have enough. So a couple people commented on that. So I went ahead and added more about that. Another thing too is someone mentioned not having a staff list on there, which was very smart because I'll show you all in a minute, but I had a list of the board members, but along with that, having the staff list would be something very helpful. But for the most part, though, with that second round of user testing, most people agreed that the website was definitely more visually appealing. And again, I hope most people said I kind of achieved that balance between having enough information but not having too much. And so I guess finally, I'm going to show you all the new digital prototype. Hopefully, this will be the new website at the Muncie Children's Museum if they choose to take it on. So I really wanted to, again, keep it simple. So I had a white background, but implemented, sorry, um, implemented the colors of red, blue, and yellow. Again, just having these really big, visually appealing photos at the top of a slider. But as soon as you scroll down, you see the hours, you see upcoming events, you see admission, and you also see how to contact us as long as our social links. And again, here's that footer on the bottom that I mentioned. And as you can see, there's upcoming events over here, but if you click on them, it does take you to a new page and gives you the exact information about the website. So I'll go back to home. Again, the same thing with the health fair event, new page. And so if I continue to do this website, I'll continue to update some of the bigger events coming up and creating pages for them. And so on the old website, I'll click back over to it for a minute. There's about us, there's staff contact info, there's FAQ, just a lot. And so I was trying to think of a word to kind of encompass everything. And I like the idea of our story. So as you can see here, again, another large photo. This is just a stock photo, but, encompassing everything. So we have our mission, we have our history, we have current staff, we have current board members. And I think that was very helpful because it wasn't just, I felt like all that info was something that could easily be encompassed in the one page rather than all separate links like they are over here. And so exhibits. Again, I will fully flesh this out if they choose to take on this website design, but I just did a few up here. I thought it was really cool that, kind of as I mentioned that the Children's Museum in Indy did, having photos of kids playing in these exhibits. So, for example, here's the ant wall. So you can kind of hover over this and see like what it's called. And if you click on it, you have a little description about what it is, and you can eventually, do a slider through and look at all the exhibits at once. Just kind of how a user wants to interact with it. And so, lastly, calendar. Luckily, Wix has a plugin, so that was really nice. That's what we use at our website right now. But again, just having these upcoming events listed on the side, and again, that same page. So, sorry, I am sick right now and I keep coughing. But yeah, so it's been really great working on this website design this semester. It's something I've kind of done before, but not fully fleshed out with a total website redesign for a business or institution. So it's been so helpful. I really hope that they enjoy this website and hopefully will take it on. And I'm really looking forward to fully fleshing it out. And hopefully, if we do decide to implement this design, that we get more people through the museum stores because it really is a great space. And I hope that more people can take advantage of it and can learn more about it through this website. But yeah, thank you.